Aurora Robson is a sculptor who turns plastic waste into art that evokes patterns in nature. Her artwork is featured in an exhibition that opened a few months ago at the Hunter Museum of American Art here in Chattanooga, titled The Long View: From Conservation to Sustainability, Works from the Bank of America Collection. This evening, starting at 6 p.m., Aurora will give an ArtWise talk at the Hunter, free and open to the public. Aurora, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Tell us more about your work as a multimedia artist.
I've been working for a couple of decades now, predominantly with other people's plastic waste. And it's become quite an obsession for me. It's something that I really love. It seems like a lot of people don't get to think about things and then do things about the things they think in their daily lives. A lot of us are sort of the tyranny of the moment and just having to do tasks that may or may not be meaningful to us. So I definitely operate as an artist from a place like a foundation of gratitude and kind of awe and wonder for the natural world.
How were you drawn to plastic debris as the focus of your art?
It became really evident to me. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and it became really evident to me that this material has a lot of longevity built into it, which is an asset for a work of art, but not necessarily for a water bottle. You don't want your water bottles to have archival integrity. But in terms of things that I find interesting as an artist, I'm really, really interested in things that people are confused about. I love to work in a way that makes things that are invisible visible, but to do so in a way that's palatable and inviting so that dialogues don't become depressing around it and thereby kind of want to fall apart. I'm interested in motivating and activating people around this issue. Plus, it's such an incredibly versatile material. So I just started playing around with it, not really fully understanding all the implications of it, but it's been a learning process. The more I work with it, the more I learn about it, which is kind of fun.
You now live in the Hudson Valley. Give us an example of your creative process when you fashion these meditative artworks out of the plastic debris.
Well, I guess it's different for every project. A lot of the time I'll work with different kinds of communities who will sequester the material for me to use for my artwork. And I find that particularly satisfying because this kind of material is adversely affecting all living creatures, big and small. So when I get to work with different communities, work with the material they've either collected from cleanups of rivers and shorelines or just from their own homes. Just today, I picked up those file folders that every kid gets for school for different subjects. And then at the end of the year, they don't want to use it again for the next year because it's got some scribbles on it. It's a little beaten up or whatever. So I've been increasingly working with communities who are collecting things like that for me from schools or parents or libraries or even corporations. Sometimes I'll work with large quantities of material collected from their waste stream. And then the biggest part of the process, maybe one of the most time-consuming parts, is cleaning and organizing all the material, which a lot of people, I think, have come to realize how therapeutic cleaning can be. And I'm really grateful for that because it makes me feel less like a crazy person cleaning other people's plastic garbage all day. But yeah, I've developed some really sustainable methods for cleaning the material. And then it's all hand manipulated for the most part, with the exception of the work I've been doing for the past few years, which is also integrating 3D printing with plastic waste.
You're one of the contemporary artists featured in one of the thematic sections of The Long View, this section titled Working Towards a Sustainable Vision. What do you hope people gain from your work, the work of your fellow contemporary artists, the rest of The Long View on exhibition at the Hunter?
In an ideal world, it would be inspiration to intercept your own plastic footprint. I love the idea of inspiring people to think about the material in a different way. The way we've historically thought of value and art supplies, things like bronze or marble, that stuff has a certain weight to it, and it's a physical weight. Whereas the weight to plastic is more metaphysical or existential. So it sort of becomes immaterial by virtue of the materiality and its impacts on life. So the idea is to try to get people to see how much fun and variety and potential there is in this material as an art supply for either art or design applications. It does take, obviously, a certain degree of skill to be able to work with this material without potentially causing yourself harm, especially when it comes to knowledge about the chemical compositions in the different types of plastics, some of which are very bad for human health. I'm not trying to get people to do anything dangerous, but I do love the idea of showing people safe ways to use this material to achieve different effects if they're inspired as such, and also to think about value differently, whether value really needs to be tied to scarcity or if it could be tied to something else.
All right. Aurora, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
For more, visit huntermuseum.org.